Hello and welcome back to Max Talks, where every Sunday I make videos to help you get to where you want to be. So if you're anything like me, maths at school taught you Pythagoras theorem, quadratic equations, and how to leave everything till the last minute, none of which I've used since I left school, apart from maybe that last one. All jokes aside though, school does not teach you personal finance and how to make your money go further, and that's what I want to teach you today. So without further ado, let's put our financial education hats on and let's get into my 3 financial lessons that I wish I'd learned at school. The first point is that time equals money. If I was to ask you to list some currencies, you'd probably say pound, dollar or euro, but it's very easy to forget that time is in fact a currency. In fact, I would say that time is the most important currency because everyone has a very limited amount of time, whereas in theory, money is limitless. Now, you might be saying,
okay, sure Max, you can name currencies, well done, but what does that have to do with my personal finance?
well, something that can really change your perspective and your mindset and the way that you think about things and your purchasing decisions is to consider future purchases in terms of time rather than in terms of currency. So as an example, let's say that you earn £10 per hour at a job where you work 8 hours per day for 5 days a week. So you work for 40 hours per week. You then decide that you want to buy an expensive pair of trainers, which costs £400 in monetary value. However, if we were to look at this from a time perspective, this pair of trainers costs you 40 hours of your time. So essentially, you have to work for a whole week in order to buy that pair of trainers. This may make you reevaluate that decision and say, is that pair of trainers worth a week of my time? Is it worth a week of work? Sure, they might be comfortable and they might be great and you'll wear them a lot, but is there anything better that you can spend that 40 hours per week on? I'll leave that up to you. Either way though, this simple trick can help you to reevaluate the way that you purchase things and prevent you from buying unnecessary things that you don't necessarily need. This brings me on to my second point, which is that a long-term mindset is key. Because we're not really taught about personal finance in school, it can be easy to fall victim to lots of get-rich-quick schemes such as
buy this one guide which will tell you the 3 things the financial industry does not want you to know.
Or pyramid schemes and other similar scams. The reason why these work is inherently because humans are focused on the short term and the fact that people want results and they want them now. And these get-rich-quick schemes focus on that impulsive part of human nature. Unfortunately, the reality is that if you want to succeed and achieve anything, then it's going to be a long, hard road of commitment and hard work and time. This is unless you get exceptionally lucky. If someone is trying to sell you something that is like a get-rich-quick scheme, or if it sounds too good to be true, then the reality is that it probably is. And ultimately this becomes noise, so you just have to tune out the noise and focus on yourself. In terms of having a long-term mindset, you might say, how is it possible to have a long-term mindset? How can you change your way of thinking? A simple way of doing this is to consider the things that are important to you, your long-term goals. If you don't have anything like this, set some up. Think about the things that you really want and put them out somewhere, maybe on a vision board or maybe on a note somewhere that you can refer back to, and break down these long-term big goals into smaller achievable steps that you can action in order to get to that big goal. This will help you to break down your time frame and to really consider the long-term perspective. An example could be that you want to be financially stable, you want to travel, you want to get an amazing job. All of these things can help you to tap into that long-term mindset. And finally, tip number 3 is to save and invest as soon as possible. We currently live in a consumption-based society comprised of debt, of spending, of sales, and wanting the next materialistic thing. Whether you're part of that consumption-based society is up to you, but ultimately, if you want to get ahead of that, then there's 2 things that you need to do. One is start earning money as soon as possible and be proactive. And then number 2 is start saving as soon as possible. The earlier that you're able to start saving money, the better position you're likely to be in. And if you do want to start saving money, the easiest way is to automate this. So once you have a stable source of income, whether that be a job or other means, Allocate a small portion of that you want to save each month and transfer that into a different account which you can't touch. This then automates your saving process. So you're saving money every single month without even thinking about it. If you're not already saving money, then I would suggest you doing that if you're in a position to do so. The earlier that you start, the earlier that you're able to take advantage of something called compounding, which is basically using compound interest. So you get a percentage of return based on what you have saved. So the more that you save, then the more returns that you get. And especially if you consistently save and save and save, this is going to add up into the long term. Again, assuming that we have a long-term mindset from step 2. And to illustrate this and how important it can be, I'm going to go through a short example now. On the left here, we have John, who is 25 years old and has decided he wants to start saving money. And on the right, we have Lisa, who's 18 years old and wants to start saving as soon as she can. Both John and Lisa want to retire at 60 years old. Each of them opens a savings account which returns them 5% interest every year on their balance, and both of them put in £5,000 as a lump sum to open the account. They both also put in £300 per month into their savings accounts, meaning every year they put £2,400 into their accounts. Assuming the amount they put into their account over the years does not change and not accounting for inflation or depreciation, by the time they're both 60 years old, Lisa's total savings balance is near £380,000, whereas John's balance is just £255,000. This means that by being 7 years later than Lisa to begin saving, he's lost out on £124,000. Obviously, if he continues to save, then he would make this amount back up, but it really demonstrates the importance of a long-term mindset and starting to save and invest earlier. Now, obviously, I'm not a financial professional, but I do find personal finance very interesting, and I've recently started investing some of my money into stocks and shares. And before doing so, I realised just how daunting it was because of the amount of information that's out there. And having taken some time to digest and understand it, I'd be happy to put together a video on some basic tips which might help you to consider and start investing. And if you want to see that video, then leave a comment below. Other than that though, thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed and that you found it useful. If you did, leave a like rating. Leave a comment below if you're going to try any of these tips and which ones you might try. And subscribe below for new content every single Sunday. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss an upload and you get notifications every time I do upload. And other than that, I will see you next Sunday.